Welcome to episode 4 of Not Feeling Like Myself Sundays. Yes, this is a new show that we have created right here on YouTube Studios. Today, we are talking about finding me again. This is finding me again, honoring your new biology. This chair is a little squeaky. Honoring your new biology and identity and power. You know, a lot of us are going through stages. And if you are a woman, you know what going through stages is like. And so today what we want to do is we want to honor this body that we've been given, that God has given us, in a way that allows us to see all things new. If you are new to this channel, my name is Diana Patton, and I am the Authentic Power Strategist, where I help women, corporate women, executive women, learn how to use their authentic voice to speak up, to advocate for visibility for their brand, understanding that they are a brand, and so that they can live a life that's on purpose with sincere leadership. When I call sincere leadership, meaning like this is the type of leadership where we actually learn how to live in a servant mindset, serving ourselves first so that we can better serve others. So I want to ask you a question. Have you ever looked in the mirror? Okay, I'm looking in the mirror. Have you ever looked in the mirror, right, and just began to say, who am I? Right? I don't know if you can see that. Yeah. Let me turn it so that you can see. Here we go. Right there. Who am I? Why do I respond the way that I do? What is going on? Have you ever looked in the mirror to ask yourself that? You know, oftentimes we look at ourselves and we become unrecognizable, not only in appearance, in how we feel. And so as we are changing in our bodies, it's really important for us as women to understand that you're not crazy. Everything that you're feeling, everything that you're going through is for you to learn something new. And I'm so honored to be the woman to bring this to you simply because I went through my own who am I, what's going on, and several times looking in the mirror, wondering why I am this way, right? Just curious, what is going on? And actually spending time looking at myself quite a bit to honor that process. So that's what I want to get into today. And I want to ask you that. So what we've been doing is we've been traveling through a series, and we've been looking at how we are traveling through our bodies in this journey that we are on called being a woman. And this is a beautiful process, but the problem is a lot of us don't know because we haven't had a lot of people talking about our biology, only with the exception of childbearing years. And I want to let you know the reason a lot of us aren't knowledgeable. You can't go to your parents and ask them what steps they took, how they went through the process, and what their medical professional told them to do, because there's no literature on that. So a lot of us, we can't go to our parents, we can't go to our elder family members to know. And also there was quite a bit of shame around this process because no one really knew how to deal with women in this process. So not only from a perhaps from a family legacy perspective, it's really difficult to find, but you certainly aren't going to find medical literature that's talking about this historical process. So I want to make certain that you are giving yourself grace. You've got to give yourself grace. And I'm giving myself grace because I didn't originally do that. When I was going through this process of being alone, feeling like my brain was just disconnected from me, crying nonstop, feeling like I'm shaking, screaming, like I want to get out of my body. Literally, I want to get out of my body. And no one really believed how dire I was. because as high achieving women, we are consistently on, right? We are constantly at this level. And we had estrogen to help us do that. But as that estrogen lowers and that progesterone lowers, we aren't capable of being able to go through this process with a sense of ease when we don't know what's going on. And when I went to my doctor, and I'm explaining to you my story because I have to share it every single time for those of you who might be new, is happened to me in 2020 when I really felt like this nonstop shake. And when you are lifting weights, or if you do yoga, or if you're in a really difficult pose and your body kind of starts to shake like this, that's what was happening to me. My body was shaking like this right when I would wake up, all throughout the day, and right when I would go to bed. And at times I couldn't sleep because I would be waking up with my sheets and my bed would be sweating, and I'd have to take off my shirt because literally wringing out my shirt. Does this sound familiar? Now, I'm sharing my story with you because not all stories are the same. Not every menopause story is the same. And so I want us, as I said in my very first video, because this is why this is a series, because you have to begin to name and identify what is going on with you, right? If we're trying to get to feeling better or knowing our new selves, we got to identify where we're at. And a lot of times, I was talking about this with my mom. She's in the other room, my 87-year aged mom. A lot of times women and people don't want to know what's going on with themselves because they have fear. They have fear of what is going on. And so they would rather, ignorance is bliss. They stay blind to it. Not me. I really began to dive in. And when I was talking to my medical professional, a gynecologist, she said, "Oh no, you're just depressed." A lot of people like to blame menopause for their depressive, anxious behavior. And I was like, okay, I've never been depressed and anxious in my whole life. Not like this. There is something else going on. And I just accepted that I was depressed and anxious until I started doing what I'm going to be asking you all to do. Is you have to make yourself your full-time job. Raise your right hand. I'm going to make myself my full-time job. And until you make yourself your full-time job, will you begin to start to get to this new way of thinking, this new way of living? So I want us to understand that as we're going through this process, we tend to start to chase old ways of living. And I'm just going to tell you, that's probably not a bad thing. And the reason why is because you got to a certain level in your life by doing these strategies. You were successful. Most of the women that come into my channel, that come into this work, you're successful. Man, you've done a great job. You've gotten to the height of what you're doing, and you've made a lot of money. You've had a lot of success. You have a lot of notoriety. A lot of us have won awards using the strategy that we've implemented. But that strategy ain't gonna work, my sis, as we're traveling to this new way. So what I began to do is I made myself my full-time job, and I started to learn that what got me to 45 and 50 and the strategies that I used were burning me out. They were burning me out. They were excessive. They weren't sound. They were causing me a certain sense of dis-ease because, y'all, I got shingles. Like, I got shingles. That's odd. I'm like, you might, well, you're at a certain age. No, I eat well. I live well. Why did I get shingles? That's a nervous system issue. And it was mostly because I was chasing my old way until I started to learn something about our biology. And I want to introduce this book to you. It's been a game changer for me. Dr. Lisa Mosconi. Thank you, Dr. Lisa Mosconi. The book, The Menopause Brain. Have you guys heard of it? Heard of this book? Put in the chat if you're watching now, or if you are on, the replay when this goes to the replay. If you have heard of this book, Game Changer. Why? Because you have to understand that when your body is losing estrogen and progesterone, your brain is trying to go through a reconstruction period, because estrogen is responsible for the balance of everything in your body, but specifically wrapped up into significant amount of neurotransmitters in your brain. And so when you lose that estrogen and progesterone, you begin to think you're crazy, because you're looking in the mirror and wondering, why is this happening to me? Why is this happening to me? So I want to have you understand biologically, your entire body is shifting. Your brain is changing. Your blood flow is shifting. Your cells are trying to generate new cellular formations differently. Your immune system may be impacted. Your bones will be impacted. Your muscles won't be able to develop in the same way as they did before. So, what we have to get to the point where we are going to say that this is a new day. This is a new way. And without going deep, deep, deep into the science, in which I'm going to be spending a lot of time in my next live, I want to give you a sense of a strategy for where you are right now. And for most of us, we have not settled within our soul, not just in our minds, but like in our soul, that I am accepting a new way, right? That there is an opportunity for me to land upon a new power. There's an opportunity for me to land upon a new way of viewing my body, right? There's a new way for me to identify myself. And this is so good, because there's absolutely no way. And this is part of the reason why this may not be landing on people as much as I think it should. Like, I feel like I just wish, often I'm sitting like, I wish I had the platform of Oprah to be able to share this types of message, because once I started to, making it well with my soul, that God designed my body so well, that I'm so intricately woven, and that He makes all things new. God makes all things new. So what new things do I need to do? I mean, think about it. Think about it. You're not destined to just like go die at 50. No, you have lived so much life. You have so much to share. There's so many things about you that are unique and special and beautiful, but because our biology is shifting, we can't see it. So I want to let you know, I am pleading with you. I am begging with you to know that this is a new way. This is a new day. It's a new opportunity. And until you can draw a line in the sand and say, yes, you're right, Diana, I believe you. Until you believe yourself. But you have to read, you have to learn. So that's the reason why this show, this live, this work is all about learning. There's so much for you to know about your biology. But first, again, I want to implore upon you to begin to learn where you are, where you were, right? Like, what are some of the things that you're feeling, how you are walking through this process, and to understand what are the symptoms that you're dealing with. Because see, the thing is that this process, this menopause, perimenopause, menopause is responsible for about 70 different symptoms, 70 different symptoms in your body. And the reason why science and researchers haven't begun to like nail down, do this, is because it's all over the place, dealing with your brain, dealing with your digestive system, dealing with your bones and everything. So it's not as clear. So we are responsible for understanding that we have agency over our bodies to be able to learn this new way. So as I said, it's important for you to understand your body, but to make yourself your full-time job, to begin to learn. And I get, again, your homework is to be able to pick up the Menopause Brain, The New Science Empowering Women by Dr. Lisa Mosconi. This book was actually published in 2024. Maria Shriver is, I don't know if you're familiar with Maria Shriver. She and her brother and her mother started the Special Olympics. And she, most notably, not because this is what made her famous, but her platform was viewed as the former wife of Arnold Schwarzenegger. And so, Maria Shriver has had a significant impact upon women's health. She and Lisa have partnered up, and Lisa Mosconi actually started the Women's Brain Initiative. Dr. Lisa is, Dr. Mosconi is responsible for doing a lot of work with the Weil Institute in New York City, and has been studying Alzheimer's patients and has seen this correlation with Alzheimer's patients and women. Of the people that are Alzheimer's patients, 63% of them are women. And she is starting to see a direct correlation, not all, again, I'm not warning all, but she's starting to see a direct correlation with women going through perimenopause, that they are experiencing this thing called brain fog. And brain fog is a slight form of, not that it leads to Alzheimer's, but it certainly shows indicators that is a beginning indicator of you having what mimics dementia. It mimics it simply because of your inability to just remember certain things. And if that's you, if you find yourself in deep brain fog, then this is a book you definitely need to pick up. Because I don't know about you, but when I learn about myself, when I learn, that is half the battle. When I'm diving in, learning, that's half the battle, is to be able to discover that I'm not alone, that this is what's happening. So I want you to understand that when you do that research and you understand these foundational principles, what you have to begin to do, as I said before, is understand that you are your own full-time job, is to also understand identity. See, because a lot of us have identified ourselves with certain behaviors, certain outcomes, and deliverables. Now, I believe that we can have outcomes and deliverables of a certain level of excellence. But I also believe that the strategy of reaching those deliverables and outcomes need to be refined at this stage of life. And that fundamentally, for a lot of women, we like to wear as a badge of honor exhaustion. We like to wear a badge of honor that we could do everything and say yes to everything, be on every single board, be on every single committee, be everywhere and doing everything. You're tired, right? So now is an opportunity for you to be able to gain a new identity. You picking up what I'm laying down? This identity is one of ease. You can still go into storms, but I don't want you to actually fall into the storm's patterns. I want you to understand your identity. I want you to get clear on your yes and on your no. Get clear that this is who I am, this is what I stand for, this is what I believe in, and get clear on that. A lot of us have fallen into codependency, people pleasing, and so therefore that's our identity. But until you make yourself your full-time job, do you understand that has become your identity? Your identity has become people pleasing. Your identity has become exhaustion, or consistent going, not being able to be still, not understanding what freedom actually feels like inside of your body. And so when this huge rush of shift happens, you begin to have what's called an identity crisis. And a lot of us call it midlife crisis. Well, I just believe it doesn't have to be a crisis. It could be an invitation. It's an invitation for you to be able to understand a new way. Can we change the language up there? Can we get some snaps? We ain't crisising. We are getting a new identity. Say it in the chat. I'm getting a new identity. I have a new identity, right? So when you think about this, and this is why it requires you to have a full-time job, because you're going to have to put some time into this. You're going to have to spend some time to understand this new way. Are you picking up what I'm laying down? Yes. Yes. So the questions I have for you, and I've written them down, and here they are. Who taught you that productivity equals worth? Let me repeat this for the people in the back and for the choir member who's still talking. Yes, I'm acting like this is a church service. Who taught you that productivity equals worth? That's a good question. Write these down, because you might need to share this with somebody on your team, because productivity does not equal your worth. All right. Number 2, who were you trying to impress? Let me take a sip of my coffee. See, because under this identity that can't stop, maybe perhaps you were trying to impress with someone. You know how we women do is that we've kind of got to have a certain look. We got to have a certain feeling. And it's good to have that feeling for yourself. Like, I like to feel good. I like to have a shower. I put on a little makeup, right? For so that I could feel good. But if I'm solely doing this to impress, that's a big, heavy weight, right? And so that's the second question. The third question is, what identity are you carrying that no longer fits? See, like, you got to literally ask yourself this. I want you to take these questions and I want you to write them down in your journal, and I want you to answer them for yourself, right? The fourth question, what if your body has been trying to get your attention? Yes, I'm pausing because your body always gives you signals. And I'm going to tell you, when I got shingles, that was a wake-up call for me. It was literally a wake-up call that begged me to sit down and to pay attention to what's going on. Not to do 5 or 6 things at a time, but to literally sit down and go, okay, have I tied my worth to my productivity? Why does it feel like I always have to go fast? So these are the questions that I really believe are necessary for us to gain a new understanding of ourselves, right? The identity that we choose to carry over these next, the 50s legacy, the 60s legacy, the 70s legacy, and the 80s legacy, right? And some of you might be joining in, you might be in your 30s. Well, let me tell you something. There is a beautiful new way to live your life. And when we get the invitation at perimenopause and menopause, when we get this invitation, we get to see things new. Now, I want to move into the final section of our conversation today, that I just believe that, I am a Christ-centered person. I believe that God doesn't waste any season that you are in. Whether you are in the season, when you were in the season of puberty, when you were in the season of menstruating and having children, and now in menopause. I've come to believe that God doesn't ask us to return to an old version of ourselves. I believe that God really gives us the opportunity to find a new version of ourselves. And I just believe that when we understand this at the core. And this is why I love doing this on Sundays, because there's a certain aspect of learning and receiving on the Sabbath. I traditionally call Sunday the Sabbath, right? Is, at this stage of life that God teaches us and he matures us, right? God stretches us and teaches us in every single season of life. This is why in our community, we have what's called the Rise Advocates movement. My goal is to get 100,000 women to understand this new way of living, is that we get to, we get to live a new opportunity every single day of our lives. Every single day of our lives. And for each season, there is a learning, there's a pattern, there's pattern recognition, and there's ways in which we can create new patterns in our lives. And so I feel that, because a lot of women are deeply, deeply, deeply suffering and feeling very on edge. And I'm speaking to you today. I'm speaking to you today as you are in a time of trying to figure all of this out, that this is a season. This is a season of shifting. This is a season of recognition, and you can move through this season. So I want to share that you cannot become a new person if you're surrounded by people committed to keeping you in that old version. See, because I feel misery loves company, but learners love to rise. So I really believe as you're going through the season, if you find people around you who are always complaining, always down, always depressed, always stressed, living that old identity, you're not going to be able to see a new way. You're not going to be able to find the new way. You're not going to be able to seek, because I believe what you seek is seeking you, right? What you seek is seeking you. If you seek peace, you're going to find it, right? You're going to find it. I ain't going to say it's always going to be easy, but you will find it. If you seek ease, you'll find it. And you have to make certain that the people that you are around the most are reflective of that new way of living. Because I always say, Denzel Washington said this so clear, and I don't know if this is his quote, but he said, if you hang around the barbershop enough, you're going to find yourself getting a haircut. So when you hang around certain people, you hang around certain lifestyles, when you hang around that, and that's not the identity that you want to uphold, then you really need to check yourself before you wreck yourself. Because the people, the surroundings, the environment, all matters, right? So it's important for you to be able to identify that. So all these steps and all these strategies that I'm giving you are critical for you to find yourself. And because if you don't have yourself, everyone else has you. You are easily swayed. You are easily taking off. You will easily go off, and you'll find yourself being twisted and messed up and constantly feeling like you're never going to find your center. And that's a choice. Can you say choice in the chat? That's a choice. So, because I want you to understand that you have agency. You have agency. So I'm going to give you what I would call a practical reset. I want you to do 4 things, right? Because when you come into this show, when you come into this, you need to leave with some principles. You need to leave with some things that are going to help you get to the next. Okay, first of all, I would love for you to pick up the book, The Menopause Brain by Dr. Lisa Moscoli. Or you could at least, follow her channel on YouTube, because I feel like she does a great job. She's got some great podcasts that she's been on. One of I like the most, Dr. Stephen Bartlett of the Diary of a CEO. That interview was phenomenal. It's 2 hours long. So it's like, it's 2 hours. When do you have time to do that? Okay, make yourself your full-time job. Okay. Executive women, you will find that time. And everything I'm sharing with you, ladies, I would love for you to share with someone you're mentoring, share it with a daughter or a granddaughter, whomever is in your life, be able to share this with them. Okay. So that's the first thing, is that book. You're never, ever, ever too young to learn about your body. Okay. So the first thing that I want you to do is to read something every single day. Every single day, I would like you to read something. Now, I would love you to start by reading this book, The Menopause Brain, right? But I actually have a book list that I believe is critical for executive women to read at this stage of life. If you want that book list, trust and believe, I will send that to you. Just share your email, and I will get that to you. Okay. The second thing that I want you to be able to implement every single day is to move your body. Move, walk. Last night I went out to dinner with my family, my mom and my son, and we got done, and I'm like, I still need to get about 2,000 steps in, and it's like 8:30 at night. Why? Because I've committed every single day, no matter what's going on in my life, because I am my full-time job, that I have to move my body. Now, I don't have to be like crazy about it, but I'm going to walk. I'm going to get out in nature. I'm going to move. Now, as you continue to travel with me, we're going to up the ante in the movement department, because I want y'all lifting weights. But first things first, I want you just walking. Okay. I want you to walk every single day. Be committed to it. Say, okay, today, no matter what's going on, I'm going to have like 2,000, 3,000 steps, no matter what it is. And if it's 9:00 at night and you haven't gotten no steps in, then you just start stepping like this. You're just going to be like this at your house. Just step it. Okay. That's the second thing that I want you to do. All right. So the first one is to be committed to reading every day. Second is to move your body. And third is to get curious. I would like you to be a person that invites curiosity. Why? So you're not so hardcore in this is how it has to be. This is what it was. This is how it's been. And this is how it's always going to be. That is a horrible way to live. I need you to be asking questions of yourself. I need you to invite curiosity into your life. I want you to be a person who invites the opportunity to learn. And I want you to have this mindset at 35, 45, 55, 65, 75, all the way up until you leave this earth. There's so much to learn. There's so much to know. And when you live a life of curiosity, you live a life of ease, because your arteries don't become so hardened with these patterns that aren't doing you well. Your immune system becomes more vibrant. And so you're capable of taking on some of the hard things that are happening in your life. Trust and believe. I know what I'm talking about. Number one, read every day. Number two, move your body. Number three, get curious. Question things, right? So those are the three things I'm hoping you can take with you today. Does this sound good? This is great. I think it's perfect. The last thing I want you to do is I want to give this last parting note to you is I feel like it's important for you to be a protector of your environment. I need you to guard your heart above all else. Guard it, not like, have a moat, like I won't, but to really be protective of your peace, right? To learn the art of saying yes and the art of saying no. that when you sign up for something or you say you're going to do something, you follow through, unless you go, this doesn't seem right. Then tell the person it doesn't seem right and I can't follow through with that, right? Be honest with yourself. But the thing I want to ask you to do is to protect your environment, right? So last, I really do not believe that this season of life is about finding myself anymore. It's not about finding my old self anymore. It's about honoring the woman that God is creating to become. And that is a beautiful, beautiful way to look at life. So I really want you to think that through, and that this different way of living, this different way of being is wisdom, right? It's boundaries. It's compassion for yourself, right? It's also a stronger way to live, right? I really believe that for me, I just want to live stronger and wiser in my body, in my mind, in my spirit, as I allow God to lead me through these times, that I know that there is a beautiful, beautiful thing ahead of me. So be more discerning, right? Be more courageous, be more authentic. You do not need to become who you were, but I'm going to ask you to become who you are meant to be. So, does that sound good? So let me ask you this. What part of the old you are you finally ready to release? What part of her? So the woman you're becoming has room to rise. That's my last question. I hope you found today's show and today's information, today's live, helpful for you as you continue this journey. Please share pieces of this if you're watching this on the replay, maybe just write it down, share it with someone, share it on social media, share it with someone that you care about, someone that you love who needs this information. Share this book, follow Dr. Lisa Mosconi. This is what I wanted to share with you today. I will be live every single Sunday, 9 a.m., right here on YouTube. I look forward to seeing you in the next live. Follow me. The last thing I want to leave with you with, Executive Biology Audit. I'd love for you to take our Executive Biology Audit. It's going to help you understand everything that we were talking about in today's live. It's free for you. You'll get a nice report at the end. This is something that me and my team has created, mostly Woodley White and Yanaya Curry have created. So take it, share it, and I will see you in the next live. Have a great Sunday.